Coach, the old saying goes, you make the most improvement from week 1 to week 2. Do you buy that, and what do you expect to see out of your club?
I expect a team that's going to be playing with their hair on fire and running around, and sideline that's just animated the whole game, and crisp execution across the board. Want a fast start, but however that starts, we want to continue to just impose our will on our opponent, because that's what we want to do regardless of who we play. I think the improvement from week 1 to week 2 is you just, again, the assumptions that you maybe saw in practice, you see something new, and you're like, all right, this guy can play, or this guy needs to make an improvement quickly. We need to move some things around. Maybe there's scheme that we need to change in the different phases to put our guys in a situation to be successful. And I also think guys see themselves on film and all right, I got to make this adjustment in order to grade out a champion over 80%.
Yeah, it's one thing to show them in practice. It's another thing
right.
to see it in the game.
That's
right?
it. Yeah, I mean,
and that also helps you too, because you had assumptions. Now you know.
And the coaches can tell you till they're blue in the face, but now the parents are watching, their friends are watching, the whole nation's watching. It's in the shoe. There's nowhere to go. So, but it's also the coaches. We have to own that. It's our job as coaches to own the mistakes. It's the players' job to go play as hard as they possibly can.
You said something earlier in the week, and I thought you were spot on, that playing football is fun.
Right.
I mean, sometimes we need reminded that.
You got to have fun, and what fun is kicking people's tail. I mean, that's what fun is. Fun is winning, but that's the case. And when you're playing that way, I mean, you got to have fun, and that's what it's all about. And having a seriousness about you when you walk in there, we're going to get this job done, but then we're going to celebrate the heck out of it when we do.
You look at college football, this is an upgrade this week. This team played with, they got your attention, don't they?
There's no question, yeah. And when you watch a film of another Big Ten opponent, you get a pretty good barometer of what you're dealing with. Sometimes when you're playing non-conference games, you don't always know exactly what you're looking at because you don't know the competition. We know Wisconsin. We played them last year. I mean, they're a good, solid team, and that game was in a balance, and they were going toe-to-toe with them for a while. So they have our attention.
You look at your new role with this team as the head coach. Are you having fun in this role? And I think you are, the special teams, and just you're got your fingers on everything now, don't you?
Yeah, it's just different is what it is. And I think it gives me an opportunity to be more around the team and have my, get my hands in different things and, reach out to guys and have more communication with different guys in different positions, which is great. Gives me more time to think about the messaging to the team and what I want to get done in terms of that part of it. Spend more time talking to the coaches, pushing the coaches, making sure that they're doing their part, because that's a part of my job, is to make sure I'm coaching the coaches. And ultimately, we're all in this thing together. And getting the feedback from the leaders, getting the feedback from the coaches on what we want as an organization, what we want as a program. And ultimately, I'm the head coach, but this is everybody involved with this thing. There's got to be ownership and accountability.
You look at this opportunity, a night game in the Horseshoe, the 12th man. We talk about that a lot, but they need to show up this week.
Always, yeah, always, and right from the jump. And our guys feed off the crowd. When the crowd, it's just the way it is, and our guys love it when the crowd's into it like that. So, our guys, it's their job to give them something to cheer about. That's how it works, and it's a great feeling to be at home.
You talk about fast starts. Last thing, do you and Chip do anything to game plan to try to help that along?
We'll go over openers. We're not a script team. I believe very, very strongly that when you spend so much time on your first 10 plays, once the 10 plays get over, it starts to trail off fast. And I've studied that very much. We had a long conversation about that in the off season. Now we will talk about openers. We'll work on those openers. We'll make sure. But what if the first drive you're on your own 3-yard line? You can't just call the play that you wanted to play, and you can get yourself completely out of whack. You can get yourself on a holding call, and it's 1st and 20 on the first drive, and now all of a sudden you're off the script, and guys are discombobulated because you told them here the first some odd plays we're going to run. But as opposed to that, hey, here are some openers. Here's some things we're thinking about early on. Here are the first couple third downs. Here are the first red zone calls. You work on those. You work on those on Friday. You walk them through on Thursday. You walk through them on Friday, so the guys, it's right in the front of their mind. But you don't overdo it because the game can take a quick turn, and so we want to be able to adapt as the time goes on.
Last thing, how healthy are you, and are we looking at some game time decisions with guys?
Yeah, a couple guys, just Donovan and Cody. Everybody else, should be good to go.
Which obviously, Jack Sawyer said something after the game. He goes, "This was our last first game of the season." For those guys, you know, the clock is ticking. But,
Yeah.
you know, you get the feeling they want to prove something.
Yeah, and I've said that to him, and I'll say it again to him, is like, you know, there's a last time for everything. And it just makes you realize how quickly things go. And so, you know, there's only 7 more at home for these guys. And on Friday nights, when we get over to the golf course, that's kind of when we have an opportunity as a family to be over at the golf course. They've been doing that, I think, for like 76 years now, and it's a great tradition. And when we go over there, like, put your phones down, take your earphones off, put them to the side, and we're all going to sit down and have a great meal together and relax and enjoy each other's company. And when you get over there, that's when you kind of take a deep breath, because when you're in it during the week, there's just practice, there's a lot going on. You're away from it there, and you're able to enjoy, you know, each other, but also, you know, take a little bit of a deep breath to realize, like, okay, I only got so many of these opportunities. Even as a youngster, you know, don't wait until you're a senior to make an impact. Have urgency about you, and certainly for seniors, because it's going to go real fast. And I do say that a lot, like, and we say that a lot. Don't wait till your last game to start having tears about that. Like, have it now, you know, because so many of us would say, well, if I only knew what I knew, you know, back, well, you're there, and be in the moment, understand that. And I think that's what Jack is talking about.
All right, Coach. Buckeyes versus Broncos, night game in the shoe. Your keys to victory.
Yeah, looking to take the next step overall with just overall physicality. We've talked about being the hardest playing team in the country. We've got to do that. We're looking for guys to grade out champion. And that's every guy in each unit. The goal is to grade out over 80%. If they don't, something's gone wrong. And when we get a chance to watch the film on Sunday, you know, it's feedback on how the week went. And so if you don't grade out over 80%, you got to get with your coach and figure out why that is. And so that's the challenge for each individual guy. Grade out over 80% and play as hard as you possibly can. Like, and you know, I really don't want to, and I don't want any of us to start thinking about anything other than that. Now, the game in and of itself, we've got to continue to win the turnover battle. We've got to take care of the ball. You know, I thought the ball was a little bit at risk too much the other day. We did win it 3-0, but still, I thought that was important. We've got to win the rushing yards. You know, we've got to continue to run the football on offense. We've got to stop the run and dominate the line of scrimmage on defense. And then the explosive plays in this game will be important. We can't give them any cheap ones on defense.